obviously not enjoying his time in jail. His jail conditions will leave you speechless, to say the least. Reports from inside the prison suggest that he is miserable. So much so that he has resorted to writing letters to people who might help him out. So, what is El Chapo's life like behind bars? El Chapo's life in Alcatraz of the Rockies. Currently, El Chapo is being held at the infamous United States Penitentiary Administrative Maximum Facility, commonly known as ADX Florence or Supermax. Infamous because once you're in, there is no escape. At least in its history, no one has managed to break out, especially given that many inmates in there are brought after successfully escaping from other prisons, including El Chapo himself, as we will see. Just to get a picture of how tough life in ADX Florence is for the terror that was El Chapo, you need not look further than his recent actions. The man who wreaked havoc on people in Mexico has now been reduced to writing letters asking for help. The first reports that the leader of the Sinaloa cartel had put pen to paper came back in January 2023. His message, described as an SOS, was passed through by his lawyers in the United States, as well as his family, to the Mexican president, Andrés Manuel López Obrador. In it, he appeals to the Mexican commander-in-chief for help, citing alleged psychological torment and harsh prison conditions. Surprisingly, President López responded to El Chapo's message by expressing his willingness to consider his plea on humanitarian grounds, stating that the door must always be left open when it comes to human rights. We're going to review it, the president told reporters, but the door must always be left open when it comes to human rights. Granting his request could have far-reaching consequences for the Mexican government, as it would be seen as a capitulation to a criminal mastermind. It could also lead to increased scrutiny of the country's justice system and raise questions about its ability to handle high-profile cases. El Chapo's hopes were dealt a major blow after a senior Mexican government official downplayed the chance of any government intercession in favor of the cartel boss. Frankly, it's the only possibilities for it, but I'm not going to review it with the prosecution's case. Minister Alfredo Ebrard told reporters 4 months later that there wasn't any significant progress in favor of El Chapo, so the Sinaloa cartel boss tried his luck somewhere else and penned another letter. This time, it was addressed to the New York federal judge, Brian Cogan, who presided over El Chapo's trial. The letter came as a surprise to them and revealed a side of El Chapo that many may not have expected. It begins with a tone of frustration and dissatisfaction as he expresses his discontent with the conditions of his daily life behind bars. El Chapo paints a glowing picture of his existence, highlighting the limited privileges and the law of communication with his attorney. El Chapo complains that the conditions in prison are inhuman. He also writes that he's been in for a year and has only been authorized to deny telephone calls to his attorney. In the letter to Judge Cogan, El Chapo sends a sorrowful postscript stating that his letter was delayed because it's been more than 1 month since I've been able to get a stamp. I hope that something is deposited in my commissary so that I can submit my letter. One can't help but wonder if El Chapo's complaints are genuine or simply a ploy to gain sympathy or manipulate the system. After all, this is a man who has shown no remorse for the countless lives lost due to his drug empire. Nevertheless, his words have glimpse into the harsh realities of life in a maximum security prison. So, is the Alcatraz of the Rockies really that bad? Our prison conditions so miserable that they have humbled the great El Chapo. ADX Florence, officially known as the United States Penitentiary Administrative Maximum Facility, was commissioned by the Federal Bureau of Prisons in response to a series of violent incidents that occurred in the federal prisons. One such incident took place at Marion U.S. Penitentiary in 1983, where 2 correction officers were brutally stabbed to death by ruthless prisoners. These incidents highlighted the urgent need for security tools. Inmates posed extreme threats to staff and other prisoners. Opened in 1994, ADX Florence was designed to be a supermax for controlling a prison, providing a level of custody that surpasses that of a maximum security facility. Situated in Fremont County near Florence, Colorado, ADX Florence forms part of the Federal Correctional Complex, which encompasses various facilities with differing degrees of security. The primary purpose of ADX Florence is to securely house the most dangerous and violent criminals in the United States. It serves as a containment unit for criminal leaders and violent gangs, as well as domestic and international terrorists from major organizations like Al-Qaeda. Notable inmates include Zacarias Moussaoui, the only person convicted in a civilian court for the 9/11 terrorist attacks, and Dzhokhar Tsarnaev, who played a role in the Boston Marathon bombings. With its highly controlled environment, ADX Florence is considered an early example of what would become a supermax model. Inmates at ADX Florence have little to no time outside of their cells, very few activities, and minimal contact with other humans. The prison is specifically designed to keep every occupant in near total solitary confinement, making it the only facility of its kind. The physical layout of ADX Florence contributes to its high level of security. The facility covers 21 acres of land and is predominantly above ground, with a subterranean corridor linking the cell blocks to the lobby. Each supermax prison cell is constructed almost entirely of full concrete. It contains a desk, stool, bed, toilet, shower, and sink. The windows, measuring only 4 inches by 4 feet, are designed to prevent inmates from knowing their specific location within the complex, making escape virtually impossible. In addition to the strict confinement, ADX Plus employs a 3-year program that gradually socializes inmates with other prisoners and staff. During the first year, inmates are confined to their cells for 23 hours a day. Over time, good behavior can earn more outside time, and for the most fortunate, a potential transfer back to a less secure prison may be possible. However, even in their last year, prisoners are still confined to their cells from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., with meals delivered through a slot in their steel cell door. The daily solitary confinement style in ADX must be the reason El Chapo has desperately turned to putting pen to paper. The effects of long-term solitary confinement on the human mind are profound and disturbing. Studies have shown that the human brain relies on social interaction for its healthy development and functioning. Without regular social contact, the mind begins to deteriorate, leading to a range of psychological issues. Depression and anxiety are common. Among inmates subjected to long-term solitary confinement, the constant isolation and lack of stimulation can lead to a deep sense of hopelessness and despair. The mind becomes consumed by negative thoughts, and the weight of loneliness becomes unbearable. But the psychological effects go beyond depression and anxiety. The New York Times tells the disturbing story of an ADX inmate named Jack Powers, who was jailed for robbery and sent to prison after escaping from Rome. The isolation sent Powers spiraling into insanity. He cut off his earlobes, chewed through a finger, and even smashed his head open in an attempt to inject his brain with bacterial-laden fluid. These extreme acts of self-harm are testament to the profound psychological distress experienced by those confined within the ADX. Hallucinations and psychotic breaks are also common among inmates subjected to long-term solitary confinement. The mind, deprived of external stimuli, begins to create its own.
We deserve a real king. Because if he cannot protect his own family, how is he supposed to protect us?
It's invitation. All hasn't been helpless. I'm not going to miss yourself. Fine. What's your muscles? Reality in the app.
Well, this is an uphill battle for El Chapo, with the man nicknamed Shorty. Tonight is an do-or-die situation. The convicted Sinaloa cartel boss tried to do something that would convince a court he was wronged by U.S. prosecutors or die in prison on a life sentence for racketeering conspiracy.
Once one of the most powerful and feared drug lords in the world, El Chapo's life since he was put behind bars is nothing to write home about. While he fully deserves to be where he is, El Chapo is obviously not enjoying his time in jail. His jail conditions will leave you speechless, to say the least. Reports from inside the prison suggest that he is miserable, so much so that he has resorted to writing letters to people who might help him out. So, what is El Chapo's life like behind bars? El Chapo's life in Alcatraz of the Rockies. Currently, El Chapo is being held at the infamous United States Penitentiary Administrative Maximum Facility, commonly known as ADX Florence or Supermax. Infamous because once you're in, there is no escape. At least in its history, no one has managed to break out, especially given that many inmates are now brought after successfully escaping from other prisons, including El Chapo himself, as we can see. Just to get a picture of how tough life in ADX Florence is for the terror that is El Chapo, we need not look further than his recent actions. The man who